the recording. Welcome to the No Fear podcast and the No Fear live broadcast. I'm your host, Tony Blauer. If you're into mindset training, performance psychology, personal development, you'll dig this new format. No Fear Live is a unique broadcast, and it's different from the No Fear podcast. We decided to go live because we wanted to create the opportunity to interact with people like you all over the world, where anyone can log in and ask questions, and in some cases, you may even get invited into the show. The great thing about the live broadcast is that it's much more personal for the listener. That's you. Remember, self-defense isn't always about a confrontation with someone else. The first and most important fight is winning the one inside your head. All right, guys, No Fear Live with special guest, not Tim Larkin today. Tim texted me early this morning. Something came up that prevented him from being on live, so we're rescheduling, but we didn't want to bump it. We didn't want to cancel it. I said the show must go on. And so we're going to do an Ask Me Anything specific to active shooter, active killer, and I'll do anything. I got some props set up in the background here. My trusty Bob dummy with a pistol, with a gun. The other Bob dummy, kind of make this a personal lesson for you. So we'll give it a couple of minutes for people to log in here. I don't know if we have... let's see if anyone's logging in. If you are on and you can hear my audio and the video's good, please pop in, tell us where you're from, say hi. We just want to do a comms check and make sure everything's cool. If you can, as soon as you can, unless you were specifically waiting to hear from Tim, fire away a question. Every one of you should have a question, a concern, a thought on active killer, active shooter, particularly the training that must go into that sort of thing. We can't be cavalier about it. And I think that's what Tim was alluding to. And again, we'll reschedule sometime during the week or as soon as our schedules line up. And it wasn't about cavalier or putting down other trainers. It was about this idea of practicing a certain way without respecting like the totality of the violence and the potential violence that we often see. What we'll do right now is, and I see a bunch of you are logging in, so I appreciate that. Once again, if you log in, please say hi. Let us know where you're from. It's so cool when we see people all over the world. If you've got somebody that you know that is that would be really interested in, then tag them, let them know. This is again streaming YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, and I think that's it. Soon we'll be on Rumble, but I don't know what the protocol is for that yet. We're starting to look into that. So again, pop some questions. This will be really about the AMA, which is the acronym for Ask Me Anything, about this. And I've got some stuff in the background. So this is almost like a if your question's good, it'll almost be like a one-on-one with me, which hopefully will be beneficial for you and everyone listening. So we'll give it a minute, let people log in. And Elise in the background, why don't you show do we have any video of typical gun disarms without throwing anyone under the bus? Do we have anything like that? Or is it just the actual CCTV events?
It's the actual CCTV events. We also dissected in Spear Garage.
Okay. Why don't you just show a few of those so we can create some context? Just pick whichever one you want. The latest Embassy one, the Monterey one, just the actual physical fight if you can, if we have that isolated.
Yeah. And 1 second, starting with the Embassy one.
Okay. Or not. I'll say hi to people until that. There we go. Here we go. If you haven't seen this already, this was just last week. Check this out. Okay, stop that there. You got the meth one? That meth attack?
Yes, sir. 1 second.
Okay, cool. Hey, Dave, Harry, Robert, Harry O'Brien, Robert Ayala. Two good mornings from Robert Ayala. Guys, there's a bunch of you watching this. Please, use your chat, comment. I know some apps can't comment for some reason, depends on the destination. But if you can comment, say hi, let us know where you're at. This was a Buffalo methadone clinic. I had just left there. I picked up my methadone and this happened. I just missed it. That was a joke. That's not where I get my methadone. Again, what I want you to look at is the type of movement when people are fighting over a weapon. Okay, cool. And you got the Monterey one recently?
Yeah, we have that.
Okay, stick that in there. We got Toronto, UK, Netherlands. Hey guys, thanks for logging in. Again, if you just logged in, we're going to be doing active shooter, active killer. Most important thing here to make this interesting, to make this fun, is get ready to ask me some questions about it. I got Bob in the background there, set up with a pistol and a long gun so I can demo things if necessary. Tim can't make it today, so we're going to reschedule Tim, but I didn't want to bump anybody. This was the recent fight over the long gun in California after the guy had already shot and killed what turned out to be, the last I heard, was 11 plus. Okay, here we go. So guys, is it stalling, Elise, or it's just that's how the video is?
That's how the video is, actually.
Okay. All right, we get the idea on this one. Do me a favor, just play one more time do we have any more? Or those are the three we selected?
Those are the three we selected.
Okay, let's put on the embassy one more time, because that had a lot more violent energy on both the attacker and the defender's part. Guys, again, watch this. The round going off there. Okay. If you look at that last one, and I want you guys to picture this, and I share this seriously with care, concern, and compassion. A new 3 C's: care, concern, and compassion. And what I'm talking about here is, Tim and I alluded to this on our live talk the other day, where very often you've got somebody like Tim, who's an OG, who's, in his house. Tim, he's approaching 60. He's been in the industry. I'm 62. I've been training since I'm 7. And we share thoughts, and we both work military, law enforcement, security. We consult all over the world, and we share stuff. And there's always 1 or 2 or 4 or 5 people, yap, who take it all fucking personally. And I want you all, regardless of your experience, to just weigh and consider the information. And I want you to think about what we're saying, and particularly I'll speak for myself today because Tim couldn't make it, is just care, concern, and compassion. I've said for years, don't hate me, hate the bad guy, because I would always get people go, yeah, but what about this? What about this? I think what was it? Lisa, while I'm doing my rant, maybe you can pull up. Remember that video from the Middle East? One of my affiliates there, the knife attack against the car, where he smashes the guy against the truck. If you can find it, if you can't, see if you can find that. It's on Instagram. It should be in our Vimeo library as well. But just popped in my head. But like, here's a drill that we were doing to help the students understand this transition, and I'll get into it a little bit later, of primal gross motor, complex motor skill. What does that mean? What is that whole orientation? And again, we'll get into that a little bit deeper soon. And there were so many people just attacking the principles, and it was insane. It was like, hey, you don't understand the drill. You don't understand what we're doing. You don't understand the philosophy, and you don't understand the neuroscience. Now, if we go back to these 3 videos that I showed you, which are actual live, violent, active shooter, active killer events, and I want you to think about the traditional, and I'm not going to say whether it's Taekwondo, Krav Maga, Jiu-Jitsu, whatever. I'm not going to, it's not about the style, but look how most of us practice, including myself back in the day. We would stand there. Our training partner would stick a gun out and hold it. And, we would get in position, and then we'd practice the complex motor skill over and over again. Yeah. And so if you think about this, and here's what I want a little interaction from you guys today. If that is how you conventionally practice, is bad guy holds a knife, bad guy holds a knife, bad guy holds a gun, right? Wherever it is, I don't care. He's here, 1 hand, 2 hand, and you practice the complex motor skill. If you've done that or you do that, just give me a thumbs up in your comments, because I want to know where everyone's at here. The reality is, and I've been coaching, training, studying, researching for decades now. Quite literally, I've been teaching over 40 years now. And I work with professionals. Most of my business is training trainers, whether they're from the martial arts world, the self-defense world, the concealed carry world, or what our main business is training law enforcement, military, and other public safety professionals. What we find is everybody is doing what we call static drills. What I call this in our system, we call it static, dynamic, alive. Static is where I'm just standing still and I'm working on the biomechanics. Dynamic is when I'm adding and integrating some speed, some intensity, but I'm thinking about the explosiveness as me as a tactical athlete. And then alive is I'm putting it in the context of a scenario. There's more movement. So the concept is that the progression, static, dynamic, alive, is what you must do, where most people, what I found, I don't have numbers, I should research this, but I found that almost everybody does stuff where it's static, dynamic. So they learn the move and then they practice over and over fast. You'll see demos online of some very, very fast tactical athletes doing gun disarms and strips, and they're like Jackie Chan wizard shit. But it's always a role player, someone from the audience who's going to, stand up, and he walks up to the guy and he just stands there like this, or he stands there like this. There's no context, there's no scenario, there's no discussion, there's no movement, there's no surprise, there's no emotional pressure other than the performance psychology of I'm doing this as a demo. And then the person goes ki and does some move. And the move can be cool and the thing works, but there's no context. And let me share this. I think I talked about this once before. A group in Europe hired me to do a Zoom consultation for all of their trainers. So it was an organization. We had all of their senior trainers on the call. And I asked them if they were comfortable, competent, and confident in their gun scenarios. Pay attention to this. It's so subtle, but it'll make you safer just by having a conversation and listening intently. They all said, yes, they were. And I said, somebody grabs the gun, and do you guys practice gun in the face, in the face, in the stomach, to the side of the head, behind the head? Yes. I go, okay, you're really good. What are your moves? So we talk, if it's on the side, I do this. If it's in the front, I do this. If it's over here, I do this. They had all the moves. We're metaphorically doing it on Zoom. And then I asked them if they felt that if they were doing like gun scenarios, and they all said yes. And I said, okay, do you think your emotional, what's the best word to describe this? Your emotional posture, in other words, the confidence in your emotional stance right there is the same if it's a robbery, if it's a kidnapping, or if it's like an active shooter ambush. Now think about this, everyone listening to this. Pretend we're all together and we're hanging out. I wish I could put you on gallery view on StreamYard to see this so I could see your faces. Picture this here. You're all watching me, and I'm talking to you, and I'm looking at you, and I go, hey, Jerome, that's a really nice watch. Chris, man, I love that necklace you're wearing. Brandon, holy shit, I really like your running shoes. Okay, everybody, fucking give me your wallet, give me your shoes. Let's go. Come on. And I'm doing this to you, and you're like, whoa. If you've read my articles and everyone should join my Substack. Elisa will if you're not on my Substack, get on my Substack and go through that read my article. I armbarred a Navy SEAL and immediately regretted it. Read the article on ACP, awareness, consent, and preparation. And just scroll through the fear management, stuff like that. But the idea here is we're talking and all of a sudden a gun is presented and I'm here like this, moving on you. And just digging my camera right now. Make up your mind. Focus on the gun. There you go. And you're here like this, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But your brain automatically knows this is a robbery because the guy said, give me your wallet, give me your shoes, give me your chain, give me your purse. Now, same thing. We're hanging out here, and all of a sudden I come in and I'm like this, and I stick your face. Nobody fucking move. I grab Brandon, and I grab Brandon, and you're coming with me. Whack! I pistol whip you. Your head gets hit, and I start dragging you to the trunk of a car. The question here, guys, is the emotional psychological posture different from a robbery to an abduction? The answer is yes. In case you were like going, well, don't be Socratic, don't be semantical, don't be philosophical. The emotional posture is different. And you're safe on Zoom. And if you're visualizing this, your physiology will change a little bit just visualizing this. Next question or next scenario is we're all hanging out and all of a sudden, bang, 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 bang. People are dropping and screaming and running. Does your emotional psychological posture change again? Well, fuck yeah, it does. So I was talking to this group in Europe and I'm sharing this kind of like, telling the story, but bringing into a live context right now. Care, concern, compassion. My passion has been for years to make the world safer. And I do that by working with conscientious professionals and trying to get them to integrate my research, my life's journey, exploring this, because it's not about the move. Doing this, parry, grab the gun, grab the wrist, drive the gun into the person's arm, get the trigger guard to kick in here, bend the wrist down, drive the barrel. Like doing the gun disarm is easy. Doing the knife all the martial art, the biomechanics are easy if you commit to it. What we don't talk about enough is the neurobiology of survival and what your cognitive brain and reactive brain do in holy shit moments. And so that was the insight I had in the 80s when I developed our scenario approach that evolved into, again, ballistic microfight. And of course, that expanded and became, well, I was studying the violence. Is like, well, like I show these moves, why aren't they pulling them off in the scenarios? And I realized, oh my God, psychological fear is different than performance anxiety, which is different from physiological fear. And the psychological fear was way more potent and more impactful or influential on our behavior. Psychological fear is what I'm visualizing as the outcome in my mind. And that's responsible for, failing tests, choking on a speech, and, as examples. But most importantly, defending yourself, right? Between stimulus response, if you got that gap time, that refractory delay, if you don't manage the fear, you don't manage to fight. We need to manage to fight. Doesn't guarantee victory, but we need to use fear as fuel. So I'm going to do like this rant for about 10, 15 minutes, and then I hope a bunch of you have questions. The big kickoff here is this. In all three scenarios we showed, what you saw was primal gross motor movement, wrestling for the gun, and nobody got to their gun takeaway, their gun disarm, or transition to another weapon, because they were look, the contrarian out there is going to go, well, they weren't trained, I'd have done this. We don't fucking know what we're going to do unless we've been in it, or we've done so many scenarios where we've been surprised. We just know we've got the neural pattern to solve this. If you want to keep yourself honest, try to lean into this humility. When people ask me, because I'll watch somebody, and there's a bunch of infamous stories that I tell where I've been at tactical conferences or training camps, and I see somebody doing something like supremely technical, and it's being shared as self-defense. Train with me, you'll be able to do this. And a couple of times I just couldn't keep my mouth shut, and I'm going, hey man, like you may be able to do that, but other people can't. And that was me being polite. I didn't really think that person could do that. I'm going, like, in a holy shit situation, your brain can't access those fine motor skills, let alone the complex motor skill. And I don't want to go down that road right now, unless somebody has a question about it after. But the idea here is, when I get challenged, like when somebody says to me, oh, you're saying you could do it? I go, I don't know. I hope I never have to use it, but I'm humble about it. I realize that some days you're the bug and some days you're the windshield. I train. I keep myself in shape. I work out. I study violence. I get scared by things I see in the news, and I go, shit, does my system offer a solution there? Then if I need to explore that, I set up a scenario and I play with it. So again, stay humble out there. If you're a trainer, a coach, a black belt, stay humble. What I want is this conversation to inspire people and go, oh, wait a minute. And I use this metaphor as what I call as a handyman, carpenter, architect. We have in 2 weeks, if you're in Europe, in 2 weeks from now, we have our Spear System evidence-based scenario trainer course. It's open to anybody: martial artists, law enforcement, military. It's in Europe. I don't know, Lisa, if you can throw our calendar in the link to that event, or just our calendar, whatever. But and not a rush if you can, we could stick it in after. But evidence-based scenario trainer course is about how do we study real violence and then reverse engineer training that supports the solution. Notice what I said, supports the solution. I didn't say illuminates the favorite move from the Spear System, or from Krav Maga, or from Jiu-Jitsu, or from Sambo, or from, it's not about the style, gang. I always talk about 4 categories. If you've never heard that talk, the 4 categories. Category 1 is all traditional classical martial arts. And it's all driven by block-based training, which is learn these moves, and it's like chess. And then there's combat sports, which are also mostly trained by block-based training, but it's also very alive. You're actually doing stuff because you're hitting stuff, but you're learning. It's chess with muscles at 100 miles an hour now. And then there's reality-based self-defense, which is also block-based training. If you look at the way stuff and Google block-based training and neuroscience versus brain-based training and deep practice, what we want is brain-based training. So the third category is the reality-based self-defense. And what you'll see is, depending on the style of reality-based self-defense, and they are styles, you're learning, look, in our system, we do this. This is our gun disarm. This is our move. This is our knife move. This is how we go to the ground. And then category 4, I call violent encounters. And so what's unique about our approach, and if it sounds like I'm selling my approach, let me qualify that. I would say 100% of our affiliates, 100% of our affiliates are from other martial arts systems. They're people who recognize, remember my handyman, carpenter, architect metaphor? They realize that they have the toolboxes, but they don't understand the architecture or the mental blueprint of scenario design. Now, I'm going to talk about something nerdy here, and I've done this before on the call, and it's such an important concept. When you practice Taekwondo, you create a romantic relationship with the art of Taekwondo. Your stance, see if my body has any little muscle memory. I'm not going to throw any kicks, but your stance in Taekwondo, I'm back here, right? I'm too far, you can't see my feet, but I'm back here along the side here, I'm moving here, and I'm getting ready to kick and get that leg going. Yes, I've got back fist, and maybe I'll step in with a reverse punch, but I've got a specific stance, and I'm looking at a certain range. If I'm a wrestler, right, I'm down here, I'm moving, much lower center of gravity. If I'm a boxer, if I'm an amateur boxer, my hands will be up. If I'm a pro boxer, my hands will be down, right? If I'm Thai, my hands are going to be here, weights on the back leg, almost like in a cat stance, getting ready to check a kick or, jam a front kick. Or every style has a stance. And here's the thing, we develop a romantic relationship with that as we get good at it and our desire to get good at it, just like romance. Now, let's shift to neuroscience for a second. When your brain practices something over and over again, your neurons develop a neural pattern. You develop, the myelin sheath gets thicker, so signal speed is faster. There's an old, this is, I think, from 1946. It was said by a neuroscientist researcher. He said the neurons that fire together wire together. The neurons that fire together wire together. I think that's from 1946 that was first discovered. And so what you need to understand there, and it's such a cool concept, and just like as an aside, and I've talked about this before, I'll talk about this forever. There's no such thing in the real sense of muscle memory. People love to use it. Muscles don't have the capacity to store memory, right? It's not like a hard drive with memory in it. If I've got a gun in my hand and you cut my arm off, my hand won't still shoot you when my arm gets severed, because the arm doesn't have any muscle memory. I have a neural pattern that's connected from my brain, my neurons, the motor engrams, the whole sequencing that'll go, oh, he's cutting my arm off. Maybe I've got time to tell myself, grip your gun, and I send the message to drive the gun towards you, get my finger on the trigger, and all these things are happening, but they're happening because of the brain. And this is one of the things that I love about Tim's approach, is his whole thing is, how quickly can you incapacitate the person? Because while this is the weapon, this is the real weapon, the individual holding the technological weapon. I digress. So what I need people to understand is this entire connection. And this was really, I'm telling 19 stories at once here. And really what we're trying to share with you is this idea, when we watch real violence, and I said this years ago, I think early 90s for SWAT magazine interview. I was teaching at Smith & Wesson Academy, and I was so excited I'm getting interviewed by SWAT. And I said to the guy, and he actually used the quote, I was really excited. I said, the litmus test isn't what we believe, it's what we see. And what we see is CCTV. When we look at CCTV, do we see cool, calm, collected movement? No, we don't. So I want you, and if I've started a story that I didn't finish, pop it in there. So go, hey, what happened to this guy? What I want you to do is realize the metaphor of the handyman, the carpenter, and the architect. The architect is understanding this framework of violence. That's the category 4. So when we study category 4, we don't say, what would Krav Maga do here? What would Jiu-Jitsu do here? What would a combat sport here do here? What would Shotokan do here? We go, what would a human being who was caught off guard, what would their emotional system do here? What does their psychological system do here? And what does the neurobiology of survival do to their mechanics, their natural mechanics? I don't care what style you have, how long you've been trained. If all of you take a bite of your burger, lean down, grab your burger. Everyone do this, like, unless you're driving. Lean down, grab your burger. Now look up at me, right? And I go, give me your fucking wallet. And you see that, you're going, fuck. And guess what? If you're holding your burger, your cross-extensor reflex locks down on your burger. You don't even start a flinch. You hold your burger tighter. If your hands are free, you'll go like this. So you're not going to your gun yet. You're not countering yet because your brain is going, what the fuck? And it needs to recalibrate. So if this makes sense to you, keep listening and start interacting with us, because my goal is to make the world safer by sharing this research. This is why I do talks like this for free, to try and inspire you. I was in the middle of a visual metaphor when I got up to do the Taekwondo thing. I want to finish that, and then I want to answer some questions and go over some stuff. If you're really good at grappling and there's a guy in front of you and it looks like you're going to fight, your brain is not thinking about a spinning hook kick or a round kick to the head. Do you agree? Everyone agree with that? You're thinking about taking the person to the ground. You're a grappler. I'm going to take him down. I'm going to choke him out. If you're really good at kicking, you're Taekwondo, you love Taekwondo, you believe in Taekwondo, and you get in a confrontation, you're going to try and control that distance, and you can try and kick the person. Why? Number one, I love Taekwondo. I have a romantic relationship. Most importantly, going back to the neuroscience, the neurons that fire together, wire together, my neural patterns are most comfortable kicking. So I've got, every time I do the kick, I get a dopamine relationship. It's also leading me to continue practicing that. Every time I armbar, I get a dopamine release. Every time I hit someone with a body shot. So if I'm a boxer and some guy's in my face, and what you'll see is I can look at somebody in a confrontation and just intuitively, immediately by the distance, I'll tell you whether they like kicking, grappling, or striking. Body language is 60% of communication, and you will unconsciously adjust to the range that suits your romantic relationship. Now, this might sound nerdy and everything, but it's so important for your survival because you don't realize, and I say this again with care, concern, and compassion, you don't realize what the neuroscience of training certain patterns has on how you move. And the last thing I'll say about this, and it's something I talk about all the time, is your favorite move will also compromise potential options in a real life situation. What do I mean by that? Situational awareness is the most important thing. Head on a swivel. If you think every solution, like if you look at forms during active shooter situations, there are so many people that go, that's why I carry. That's why I carry. If I would have been there to shot the guy, I'd have been there. And I'm like, oh, please stop. Please stop. You have no idea what you would do unless you've been in multiple gunfights. And this isn't a challenge or a put down. I'm telling you this. My family experienced a fucking home invasion in 2000 and the end of 2009, beginning of 2010. I don't remember the exact date. It was horrific. I was not home. My son and two daughters were put in a closet by guys with guns with no masks. My wife was then put in the closet. The guy came out to get my wife, opened the closet door with the gun here, grabbed her arm, asked her where some money was. She said, I don't know what you're talking about. He's standing here like this. And he's grabbing her and he starts to move her. And after, my son had already called the cops. They're on their way, like a 3-minute response time, probably saved their lives. Again, no masks. And hey, I just saw this. Is that a communist star tattoo on the left forearm? What the fuck? Yeah, I'm a communist. If you've been listening to me for a long time, I'm a communist. I'm also, I don't know what you're talking about, but I just saw communist. I had to look at that. Dude, I don't know. A communist star. Don't know what you're talking about. Okay. No, not a communist star. But pay attention to the talk. Stop looking at my tattoos. My son says to me after the cops are on their way, my son probably saved everyone's life because he hit 911 when he heard them forcing themselves in the front door. We lived in an area where the shit doesn't happen. They were there like in 3 minutes. They heard the cops. They all took off. We always tell people, hey, bad guy with a gun in your house with no mask, that's bad. Bad guy in a gun with a mask in your house is a bad sign. No masks, or people going, I don't care if they see me because maybe we're not leaving witnesses. So holy shit. Holy shit. They take off. I'm now talking to each kid individually to find out what happened. I get home shortly thereafter. SWAT team's already gone through our house. Everyone's freaking out. And my 16-year-old son, remember the context of this. I go, hey, what would you do here? What would you do here? And every martial artist goes, well, if the gun's over here, I would do this. And if it's over here, I would do this. And I got this move. And nobody's talking about awareness, consent, preparation. Nobody's talking about the psychological influences of robbery, kidnapping, torture, active shooter, attempted murder. Because if I tell you I'm going to kill you in a minute and I'm walking towards you and I'm doing this and you're going, fuck, he's going to kill me. If you're going to tell me like, oh, well, I would just do this, then holy shit. Here's what my 16-year-old son said to me after. Imagine this. He's looking at me, obviously freaked out. My eyes, I've got, tears welled up in my eyes. He said, Dad, when they grabbed Mom and they went to take her, I thought they were going to shoot her. And I was going to go do that gun disarm. But I remembered that you told me, expect one round to always go off when you wrestle for the gun initially on a semi-automatic. If you're grabbing the slide and a round goes off, the slide will jam the second round, but expect one round to come out. And he said, we were in Olivia's little closet and they were at the back of the wall and he had the gun down here like this. And I was standing there and I was going to grab it. I didn't want him to take Mom, but I knew if a round went off, it would hit one of my sisters and probably kill them at that distance so I had to let them take Mom. I'm sorry. Imagine hearing that from your kid. But what I'm focusing on here is the self-awareness and situational awareness that he had to not do the move because he was aware of where that round was going to go. And he was going, I hope Mom figures this out because I can't help because I'm not going to do something that might get one of my sisters killed. That was fucking insane to me. No parent should ever have to have that conversation with their kid. But how I was blown away, aside from being proud of him, that he had that presence of mind. So it drives me crazy when grown adults go, well, if I was there, I'd have done this, I'd have done that. We need to do the scenarios, but most important, we need to look into the neuroscience of fear, particularly the psychology of fear, not the physiology. The physiology is important. There's a progression in our training that works like this. A stimulus is introduced too quickly, our body reacts at a primal gross motor level. If I went bang, 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 and I fucking swept the room, nobody here's going Karate Kid stance and fucking stance. All of you, regardless of your muscle memory that doesn't exist, would go fuck, and you would all flinch the same, just like when we see, famous. We have the baseball picture of Lisa floating around there, the classic, where everyone's flinching in the audience. If we have that, when you see like in sports, like any picture like that, do we have the other one or just this one? The third base line. Yeah, that one. That's first base line. That's perfect. Okay. Like that, like everyone's flinching and anyone holding anything in their hand, you can get rid of it now. Anyone holding anything in their hand is clamped down. That's that cross extensor reflex. So if you're holding French fries or pizza or a Slurpee, you're still holding it. If your hands are free, they're covering the head or pushing away danger. That's what we call primal gross motor. Then gross motor is our body starts to catch up what's going on. And now gross motor is I'm running, disengaging, I'm running to a hard cover, barricade, or I'm charging the threat. It's all gross motor. And that's what we saw in those 3 videos. That's why we showed those videos, because these movements of somebody going fuck and lunging at the gun is at what we call through the 3 C's for weapon situations: clear, control, counter. Clear yourself from the little hole or the edge or whatever. Control the arm limb, and as soon as you feel like you've got some sort of stability and control, then you can counter. And if you just integrate our 3 C's, you'll get safer just playing around with it. And you don't have to do it super fast. Do it slow. Feel. We call this off balance on purpose in our training. If you ever get to one of our scenario course, it's a principle in our system. We always train off balance on purpose, because you're emotionally, psychologically off balance at the beginning of a fight, and you're physically off balance. So our progression is primal gross motor to complex motor skill. Does that make sense to everybody? So that's unique to the SPEAR system. SPEAR, of course, is an acronym for spontaneous protection, enabling accelerated response. What we're doing is we're weaponizing the kinetic energy that's created when we flinch, and then we figured out some pretty cool ways to move very explosively from that position. Let me see if there's questions here, because I just don't want to rant the whole thing, but I get really, really fired up here on this stuff. Let's go through. I'm going to scroll up to the top here and see again. If you've got questions, pop them in there. Thank you guys for saying hi and letting us know where you're from. We've got all over the States, all over the world here. So long gun hard to operate inside and on close targets. I reckon it might be good to practice using the gun against an assailant, but to submit them. Not sure what the question is there, Jerome. Are you talking about you as a good guy has the gun, or the bad guy has the gun? The reality is, and so this was the question here. The reality is you need to practice everything. Like there are certain principles, and the principles of clear, control, counter are universal, right? So if a guy's got a knife, he's slashing or stabbing, I got to clear, I got to control, and then I got to counter. If the guy's got a gun, right, I'm here like this, I got to clear, I got to control it, and I got to counter and do whatever I'm doing. If he's got a long gun, I got to clear, I got to control, I got to counter. Each weapon has an asset or a liability. Oh, this is really cool. Holy shit. Elisa, do you remember that slow motion active killer seminar I did where everyone's in high gear and we've got tomahawk, long gun, pistol, knife? Oh, if you could find that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can find that, that'll be so cool to show everybody. Let me go on here. What I want you to think about, if you look at the videos again in your mind in the beginning is, and this is the big thing that I wanted the realization to be in the beginning is, if you were in the embassy there and you charged across the room, running like 10 feet, fucking slamming in here and getting in here, and then this guy's like trying to turn it on you, are you really going and doing, I'm making up shit here, are you really doing a static dynamic counter? Is your brain going, fuck, I don't believe I'm doing this, but if not me, then who? Holy shit. If I lose control of this gun, he's going to fucking kill me. He's already started firing it. Don't let go of the gun. I got to let go of the gun and hit him. Holy shit. We need to integrate that. If you're a professional instructor, you need to integrate that. If you're interested in being safer, you need to discuss that and understand that. Let me look here. So Jerome asked another question. How to snap out of a freeze if possible. I'm trying to think of the best way to answer that. If you understand how to manage fear, then you don't need to snap out of a freeze. So what happens, and this is actually an interesting question, specifically the language you use. Hang on a sec, my throat's cracked. In our trainer programs, we ask people as part of a test, what's the difference between freezing and choking? And this might not translate. I understand that you're, from overseas. So in the States, we use the term, oh, he choked. You choke when somebody screws up a putt or strikes out or, screws up something in a sporting contest. They go, oh, he choked. The semantics are the same, and I'm big on talking about the semantics about stuff because words have iconic value if you really study them. So choose the right word. Like when we want somebody to channel their anger and fight, we use the word indignation. I don't say you need to get angry. I go, I need you to push the fucking indignation button. Because if you Google indignation, it's got this how dare you essence, and that's what I want. Somebody's about to harm you or your family, you need that cape, that how dare you cape, because it's a different type of focused anger. Anyhow, I digress. What's the difference between freezing and choking? Well, if you fucked up the shot, if you hesitated when it was time to throw the palm strike or draw your weapon, someone would say, well, you froze. But a trained person chokes. That means they let the pressure get to them. So if you understand the neuroscience of scenario training. A lot of people do scenario training, and guys, I consult with a lot of tier one organizations, and what I love about them is they're so open-minded. I've done stuff in different countries where, like, I'm literally 5 hours. You guys see the boards behind me? We're just doing that with the trainers. We don't need to do drills. They need to understand signal speed, the neuron myelinization process. Careful you practice. You might get really good at the wrong thing. What does that mean? And then we work on that stuff. Don't play it yet, please. Pop back to me, thanks. And we'll just spend like hours on the whiteboard designing for them, helping them understand how to create meaningful training. That's what we should be doing, is meaningful training. And it's separate from our martial art training. The martial art training is, look at this. I forged this amazing hammer, and now I put it in this beautiful, toolbox. And look, I can hammer. But it doesn't mean you understand the blueprint. How do I build a house, or how do I understand how to fix this house, right? So a different context there. So go back to your question. How do I stop from freezing? You will never freeze if you understand how to manage fear. If you understand that when a stimulus gets introduced too quickly, it will create a fear spike. As soon as I get a fear spike, I create self-doubt. Doubt creates hesitation. Hesitation creates procrastination. Those three, you can pop up cycle behavior for a second, Lisa. So if you look at the red part, sudden stimulus, fear spike, right? That puts us into the fear loop. We need to understand this map, and I'm not going to go through it today. This is an active killer event. And I would tell you all, and you can pop it out of there now. I just wanted them to see it. If you haven't studied our No Fear program, we'll stick a link in here. Of course, I want to sell you shit. Our stuff's really good. We wouldn't still be in business from 1980 to now if our shit wasn't real and didn't work. And but check that out. So for everybody, if you want to, in any part of life, if you need to manage your fear, you need to have a system. Like, it's just like my friend Marco Lala, who will be on our No Fear Live soon, OG from like amazing Kyokushinkai martial artist, all around actually mixed martial artists. But Marco said this in the 80s, and I always loved it. You can't fake endurance. You can fake confidence, but you can't. I would do this, but then it starts to happen, and you're like, you realize, oh, you didn't train for this. So trained people choke, untrained people freeze. That's our definition distinction. How do you ensure that you don't freeze, or how do you snap out of it? Well, if I told you, well, you got to enact the 3 Ps. You got to hit the golden rules. You got to go through the challenge or threaten door. These are all parts of managing fear. If you don't know what they are, then I can't hit you with some magic dust there. There's an actual proven system, and we have it. Hopefully, that'd be like if you asked me, Vince Lombardi said, "Fatigue makes cowards of us all." Right? A very, very famous football coach. If you said to me, how do I not get tired during physical exertion? Well, I could say, well, if you box breathe, if you do, no, you've got to work stamina and endurance, and you've got to work your anaerobic capacity. Like there's training, and the same thing is you can train your mind. You can train courage just like you train a muscle, because it's a mindset. It's a way to think. Those who manage their fear manage to fight. Okay, let me go here. Some funny shit there. Tom says, caught you live. Woo, Tony, I love everything you've done. I'm going to put it up here because it's nice to read this. Guys, I post from time to time stuff. Our system this is the interesting thing. Our system, first of all, thank you, Tom, for that wonderful comment. In 1993, I closed my commercial school and I was only teaching cops and military for decades. The letters I've gotten from people over the years, just insane. Mostly the people that don't like our stuff, don't understand our philosophy. And usually they're a martial artist from another system who's either tired of people going, "What do you think of Spear? What do you think of Tony? What do you think of Spear? What do you think of Tony?" And I get it, right? If my wife kept coming up to me and started asking me about other guys, "Hey, what do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy? Like, are you shopping? Like, are you not happy? Like, I understand it. I don't know if that's a good example or not, but you get what I'm saying. I don't care what martial art you study. I'm a martial artist. I love all martial arts. I wish all of you would join our garage gym for a month and see what we do. Just play with it. Just train with us. It will make you fucking safer. That should be the only objective. Make you safer. Okay. Okay. Here's another one that's fun to see. Spear is the foundation in the UK prison servants. I can't even talk. The UK prison service, and it is all over the world. The foundation in many other places, different border forces, different federal police areas. But it's when I say the foundation, if you think about it as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Lisa, make a note. We got to come up with a cool graphic for that one day. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you remember the original one, the bottom tier of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is survival, and self-actualization is the tip of that pyramid. Well, if you think about static dynamic alive, if you think about primal gross motor, complex motor skill, fine motor skill, and you look at it like that, there's congruency in all our principles. That's why it makes you safer. When a stimulus is introduced too quickly, it bypasses your executive function. You can't access complex motor skills until your brain readjusts and recalibrates to what's going on. So it automatically, at a non-conscious level, defaults to covering like this. And then it immediately uses the big muscle groups and generalized thinking to find homeostasis again, balance, and then it goes, "Oh, I have a chance if I do that," and now it goes to the complex motor skill. Anyways, there we go. Rock and roll. Any questions? So Barry says here, basically training helps, but when it happens is the real thing. So many other factors you can't replicate. Just prepare for the most. Let me reorganize that comment. Careful what you practice, you might get really good at the wrong thing. Be careful what you practice, you might get really good at the wrong thing. If I'm always practicing in perfect stance, and I'm always practicing that technique, and I'm always practicing the complex motor skill, then when I'm emotionally and psychologically off balance, I'm going to have a problem. Now, when I first said this, a lot of people thought I was insulting their system. What I was talking about was neuroscience. I was talking about the dopamine relationship and the the neuron that's firing over and over again, that's creating the muscle memory that we want to do. So I'll give you an example. Lose that for a sec. If I'm over here and I turn around and there's a guy with a gun right here, right? And I go, fuck, and I start a flinch. If all of my training is, I'm going to duck under, or all of my training is to step back and launch a kick, or all of my training is to overhand, and, this shit could work. But my primal gross motor system, my unconscious nervous system goes, fuck, gun, and does a micro flinch, and the hands come up. If I've never practiced pushing away danger and getting away from the hole and driving, now listen to this. I'm going to use you all as a visual here. Pretend you're in the garage gym. We do this all the time in the garage gym. I can see everybody here. If this gun is pointing at you, so this guy's holding you up, and we're in a crowded area, so everyone watching this, that gun is pointed at you. I don't know if you can see it. I know it's quite far back, but the gun is pointing at you. I don't know if you can see the laser here coming at you. And I happen to be here. I walk into the bathroom, tying up my pants. There's a guy, and he's about to turn it, and he's about to stick it in my face. And I'm like, whoa. And then I decide to do something, and I go, I'm going to be the greatest bystander. And I go, boom, and a shot goes off. One of you might have just eaten a bullet. Do I have the self-awareness, the situational awareness to decide, and we do this in our training, because almost everyone practices parrying, if a right-handed shooter, parry and step to the outside. Because everyone wants to be on the outside of the gun, on the outside. Ideally, that's where you want to be. But what if this side here is the side of a road? A guy just got out of his car, and you're on a busy highway, and this is the road here, and all my muscle memory, remember, it doesn't exist, goes ki over here into traffic. You guys get what I'm saying? Or I'm in a small bathroom stall, or I'm between parked cars, and that's the wall there. Do I have the ability to not step here, or to realize, okay, one round's coming out, it's going there. Guy, I can see his fingers on the trigger. Can I go pop and drive it up into the ceiling? Can I drive it in and twist it right? Have I thought about those different moves? Now, here's where, if we go back to like Barry or other people, is all of our toolbox, elbows, palm strikes, rake, grabs, punches. Can I then clear, control for a bit, and now go whack and smack the guy, rake his face, rip that elbow across him here, right? Fight for this, fight the hand, smash the elbow in the arm while I'm jamming the gun and fighting for it, because the guy's going to fight to maintain control of the gun. That's the psychology of it. That's the tug of war. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense there. So I'm okay with all this. Like, you're wrestling here and you're a boxer, you're going to get control and then go wham and nail the guy with a shot, twist it over, boom, hit him with an upper. I don't care. Elbow, palm strike, shin kick, transition to your weapon, but you've got to make sure you're not in front of the hole or your wife or your daughters, etc. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I want to show this video before it gets too long. It's already 1 o'clock. I want to show this video because it applies to something we were talking about earlier. And just stick it up there, but don't press play yet. Several years ago, I did an active killer event in Carlsbad, California. And what we did with this, everyone was in high gear. What's cool about this is they had wrestling mats at this location. This is a police academy. And this was an open course. We had cops in it. We had military in it. We had everyone here was a black belt martial artist. And I had said to everybody, do you know what would you do against a knife, baseball bat, gun? Everyone had a move, guys. Everyone had a move. I said, okay, think about that move. Then what I did is I put everyone in a high gear suit so they knew they were going to get hit. We didn't need the wrestling mats because high gear is like a mat you can wear. So that's amazing. If you own it, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't own it, get it on your bucket list, start saving up for it. In fact, I'll do this for anyone listening. If you want If you want $200 off a high gear suit, email the office, tell them you're on this call, and we'll knock off $200 off the high gear suit. So there's a little shameless plug for high gear and a discount for you just for watching the free show. It's a game changer. So just email ask@Blauer Tactical, say you were on the show and you want the coupon for $200 off on the high gear suit. You're welcome. And so what we did is this. I had everybody behind a mat. So you can't see this here. Maybe if you look, can we make it bigger without starting play? There you go. Perfect. So you can see what we did is it's like a pillar and everyone's got a different weapon. The guy on the left has a tomahawk. The person right in front of you has a knife. The guy on the far right, I think, has an AR. The person in the back there has a baseball bat. But what I did is picture this. Everyone's standing. If you can see me for a second, everyone's standing like this, around the different pillars. And then I walked around. I had all the weapons in my hand, and I walked around. So nobody knew what weapon they were going to get. The role player attacking didn't know the weapon they were going to get. The defender didn't know the weapon they were going to see. But everyone told me, and everyone was a black belt. Everyone said, yeah, I know what I would do. I said, okay. They didn't know what side they were going to start on. So remember ACP, awareness, consent, preparation. Even though they were in high gear suits at an active killer course, watch the confusion and movement. Watch the primal gross motor sequencing here of people who knew they weren't in danger. They were replicating danger. If you teach self-defense, combatives, DT, this should be like, oh my God, this is the missing fucking link that connects all of the physical skills. Press play. It's slow motion, by the way. Watch the movement. It's like, oh, fuck. Oh, it's you. Oh, shit, I got a weapon. Movement, sloppy shit. Panic. I don't see any technique. I don't see any martial art. Fucking hammer. Should I go for an overhook? Should I go for a guillotine? No, wait a minute. I'm just going to throw the guy. Gross motor. Shitty underhook. Push him down. But, good thing that guy was flexible. Holy shit, that was scary. And you'll see, I think it pans up. I don't know if it stops here. I think it pans up a little bit. And you see it's just chaos everywhere. Some people not even down in and pull that out of there. Yeah, again, get rid of, there you go. Like, that is the aftermath to those gun grappling videos we saw in the beginning, right? You get there and maybe you fall to the ground, maybe you don't. But you're not doing Jackie Chan, Jet Li, John Wick shit, which is what most people practice. Okay. Hey, Andy, these are going to be posted live so you can watch the beginning. Appreciate you saying that, but you can rewind this and share it. Like, this is, guys, this is like if you booked me for a private lesson, this is what we'd be doing. So get in there and rewind it and go back there. Simon, I'm not sure what you mean here. Is this like the Saving Private Ryan knife fight? I do a drill called Saving Private Ryan. Shit, I wish we had that. At least you can do a quick search on the internet. Go Dom Rosso, Tony Blauer, NRA, and see if you get the link to that and stick it in there. Dom Rosso, DOMRASO, Tony Blauer, NRA. There's a video I did with Dom where we actually break down Saving Private Ryan and that fight. In many ways, it's very similar, but we use it to show the power of the extensor chain and muscle recruitment, and had that soldier or any person that ever lost their life in that struggle like that, had they understood proper biomechanics, they had a solution there. Okay. Bad connection. Why is there not a beer on the table? Not sure what we're talking about. Okay. This comment here, genetics dictates everything, including reactions and instincts. Yeah, I'm not sure where to go with that. All of us, every person listening to this has different genetics, ectomorph, mesomorph, different body types. Some of you are out of shape, some of you are in shape, some of you are old, some of you are young, right? Fast twitch muscle fiber, slow twitch muscle fiber. But physiology unites us all. Biomechanics unites us all. Psychology unites us all. I truly tell people this. Spear is truly the science of self-defense. And there it is on the shirt. Meaning, when you come to train with us, we're not saying, oh, you got to drop some weight. We're not saying, you're too slow to learn this move. Everything we show, everyone can do, because the sequencing is always based on how would you move here? And then you go from there. So yeah, genetics is a factor, but it's like in martial arts, people say size doesn't matter. Well, size absolutely fucking matters. If you're a good driver and I'm a good driver and we agree to demolition derby and you're driving a Prius and I'm driving a fucking Hummer, it doesn't matter how good a driver you are. When our cars hit, I'm going to run you over. So your skill doesn't matter. If skill is equal and then one person has massive size, that's going to be a problem. Okay. In the mono sense. Again, it's just a metaphor. Of course, there's exceptions. But the cool thing and most important part of this, if I say size matters, the fact is we can't change our size means size doesn't matter. Did I lose anybody? Was that too zenny? Right? Size doesn't matter as a martial art myth. That's bullshit. Size does matter. But because I can't be taller or bigger than how tall or big I am, I need to work with what I have. So my genetics are who I am. I had Kyle Maynard at one of our fighting courses. Google Kyle Maynard. He has no arms or legs. Kyle Maynard did our entire course. He's in demos with me doing stuff. He's so fucking fast and amazing. You got to see him grapple. But he came to the course, got no arms and no legs, and did the training. How the fuck did he do that? Right? That's how he was born. But he learned how to fight using principles. Google that shit. It's pretty wild. Okay, let's see what else we have. Barry Lynch asked, is this recorded to rewatch? Absolutely, sir. It'll be up on our YouTube live channel, and it'll stay on Facebook and LinkedIn and wherever. But of course, those platforms, every time I post, it disappears down the thread. If you go to our YouTube channel, you can check it out there. Elisa, also pop in the link to No Fear, because the link that we give you gives you like a 50% discount if you go in there and you get the No Fear program. Check it out. Carol, thank you. Living in Austin now. Attended a spear in DC like 10 years ago. Highly recommended. Appreciate it. The best self-defense system ever practiced is gaining weight and size for lifting and eating and resting. Prevention is the best cure. Okay, yeah, I don't know what exactly. Maybe I'm still angry at your communist joke. What's that got to do with actual active shooter stuff? If you're in better shape and you're well rested and you need to fight, of course, that's going to be to your asset. Obviously, your physical health, maintaining proper physical health means your mental health will be. Okay, you're losing me on this. I'll put this up here, man. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. Let's look. Okay, guys, stay focused on the cop. Who's got, Elisa, you've seen he talks about some spear training not long ago. I thought it was a great approach to self-defense. Is the spear? Okay, here's a great question. Some spear training not too long ago. I thought it was a great approach to self-defense. Is there a spear reaction for dealing with kicks? We trained only dealing with punches and grabs. So yeah, there is, but I don't have anyone to demo with here. But the movement of pushing away danger or jamming that spear in there. It's the same thing. It's closest weapon, closest target. You're smashing. You're using the palms. You're firing stuff out. But like you would use it if I were working with an MMA fighter or a kickboxer, and I was integrating our this connection between a primal gross motor movement and how to intercept stuff like that. That would make more sense because you would see that. But confrontations that kick off inside a reactionary gap, meaning we're standing within arm's reach of each other, hey, fuck you, there's almost zero evidence of a credible fight starting with a kick. So it doesn't come up unless somebody's longer in the movement. But I wouldn't want you, and I can't demo it here really, but if that's Bob's lead leg and I'm standing here and Bob goes to step and goes to kick me, if I react to that startle flinch and I still come in and I'm still going slam and hitting, I'm still attacking center mass, I'm still attacking the head, and it will jam and thwart some of the kick. Where people get confused, and I'm trying to think if I've got a video online. I don't think I have one online on kicks. But I should have actually not even answered the question because I want to keep this active killer. I want to keep this focus. So the movement is still to control the distance and drive towards and attack the attack. That's really the movement. Can't demo it here. Don't have anyone with me. If you jump on the garage gym, maybe we can do that. I'm trying to think if I have a video, but I want to stay focused on active killer, guys. So I only wanted to keep this an hour. I want to answer some good questions. If you've got a question about gun, long gun, handgun, I've got Bob set up back there. I worked in the UK for 20 years. I love, well, let's go. Let's do the sequence. The door in the UK. Over the years, I trained boxing, judo, Wing Chun, grappling, Japanese and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Hung out, gone to military, police, prison, service all. We still hang out together. And the spear makes the most sense. I appreciate you saying that. And let me add this. It's something that I said earlier to everyone on this call. Everyone we train is already an expert. That doesn't mean we don't train beginners, or we don't have affiliates to train, people new to self-defense or people who want to go beyond recreational dabbling and stuff like that. But our train the trainer programs are made up of people who have tremendous experience, amazing experience. What they're looking for is how to weaponize a startle flinch. That's the spear. How do I teach my students the proper psychology for fear management and mindset and so on and so forth? That's the No Fear program. And how do I put together intelligent, safe, scientific scenarios? That's our ballistic microfight program. Okay. So, Scott, I don't know which video you are in. Mungo, thank you. I don't know what your real name is, but Mungo75. I'm assuming that's not your real name. But thank you for that. I appreciate that. Carol, 100%. School, classroom, hallway full of kids, different mindset than one-on-one in the street. That's how we practice, right? We've got to start looking at what would I do in this scenario. Barry, you're not going to believe this. We're talking about doing a Be Your Own Bodyguard course this month, at the end of the month. It will be confirmed Monday or Tuesday. So please email the office. If you're on our newsletter, do you get my newsletter, our regular newsletter? Lisa, do you have the link to the DRIP campaign? If you don't, I do. Let's stick it in there. If you're not on our regular newsletter, everyone should sign up on our regular newsletter. And but we'll know in the next few days if we're going to run, because we've got a law enforcement course coming up that's open to official licensed corporate security, public safety, military. It's at the end of the month in Toronto. If you go to our calendar, that information is in there. Okay, let's see. Okay, guys, doesn't seem like there's any more questions. I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to beat up Bob, so that's good. I want to thank you all for hanging on. and listening in here. Please, if you've got questions about our training, a great place to start is our garage gym. Go to our Instagram page. Go look at some of the stuff. There's a 20% discount to get you started in there. We also, if you go to the link in there, go to the link tree or whatever it's called, pop in there. We're giving away a 90-minute active shooter course, no strings attached. It's active killer training. This is actually an example of what we did in the garage gym. The event that happened, I immediately pulled it into class. We studied it, we dissected it, we went through the type of training people need to do. And then I said, shit, too much important information was in that class. How do I make the world safer? And we put it out for free. And obviously we want you to train with us. And we're gonna continue to do whatever you can to share and show you how important the system is. It's truly the science of self-defense. It'll augment whatever you're doing. I'm a martial artist. This isn't like an if or only this, or it's not about politics. It's just about making you safer. And if you teach, making your students safer. Check this out. Scott's program here. Scott recently affiliated with us. He's a firearms personal safety coach. And look what he wrote here. He's been with us for 4 months. And he said he's learned more in 4 months than in 10 years. Scott, thank you so much for that. Thank you for your professionalism. Okay, guys, if there's, Elisa, was there anything else that I wanted to show, or we kind of covered it all?
No, pretty much everything. Great show.
Okay, guys. Okay, thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend, and thanks for sharing your time with me on this weekend. Please share the link with your family, with your friends. If you want to talk to me or us about how to get involved, please do that. You know, this is our mission. My vision is unattainable. My vision is to make good humans safer, and to have the world free of violence. That's unattainable, that part. But to make good Samaritans safer all over the world, that is attainable by having conscientious professionals share the message. Don't let this be about politics and ego. It's like, wait a minute. In other industries, continuous professional development is the norm. In martial arts, it's not. And so, no, it's our style, right? Let's go beyond that. Okay, guys, be safe, and we'll see you next call. Thank you.